Hey everyone, welcome to another book review. This is Teo. Today I'm going to feature Watercolor 365. Alright, another watercolor instructional book to add to my collection. This is Watercolor 365, daily tips, tricks and techniques. So the idea is to read one tip, trick or technique a day. The artist and author is Leslie Redhead. This is a rather large book. It's a paperback with 224 pages. The content inside is divided into weeks and further divided into days. The idea of presenting the tips in 365 bite-sized portion is interesting. However, it's not really that practical. It doesn't work that well because for some of the subjects, for example, here in week 1 it talks about watercolor paper. Day 2 talks specifically about the paper, how paper is made. Day 4 talks about hot press. Day 5 on cold press. Day 6 on rough paper. When I read about paper, I want to read all of this in one shot. I mean, the information is actually not a lot, so it tempts me to actually read on further. So for example, this paragraph is so short, and this is for day 6. So it doesn't work that well for some of the subjects. Now the first few pages talks about the materials, how to choose them, how to use them, what kind of effects you can get with them, how to prepare your paper, how to pick the colors, how to arrange your palette. There's a lot of useful information. This book is suitable for beginners mostly. If you're an intermediate artist, maybe you can get some ideas as well. If you are just starting out to learn watercolor, then I actually would not recommend you to get this book. This book works well as a complement to other structured watercolor books. And the reason for that is this book is not structured in a way that most watercolor lessons are taught. So all these are bite-sized tips and techniques that you can explore. You can actually just flip to any page in this book and just experiment with the tip or technique that's there. On some days, they just include one quote like this. Some techniques are quite interesting. For example, here the artist uses a straw to apply white paint onto the paper. Some of the examples are also quite lovely. For some tips, the instructions, the explanations, the text, they are longer. For some days, they are just quite short. A little underwhelming for some days. Here's another quote. So for this week, it talks about glazing, layering, and how you can create washes. For every last day of the week, there is actually an exercise where you can challenge yourself to do. This is quite challenging. So let me just quickly flip through to the back to let you see the content. So it's not all about watercolor. There is also one week that focuses on drawing. This is on how you can transfer a photograph onto a large canvas. Some of the examples, they are really beautiful. This is on portraits. So for this week on portraits, there are actually some color mixes that you can try out. This is quite useful. And that's it for this book. Overall, this is quite a good book with lots of information, lots of useful exercises, demonstration, tips, and advice. The idea of putting all the tips into 365 bite-sized chunks actually is quite fun, but doesn't work for all the subjects. But that's really a minor issue. Overall, it's still quite a good book. So that's all for my review today. If you want to get yourself a copy, you can check out the link in the video description below. And if you want to check out my text review, that is also in the video description below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.